It's the Indian Grand Prix weekend, qualifying day, and of course you guys have all watched the qualifying session, so you know the results. You might have seen that we're having a bit of a Sahara Force India weekend with all the rest of videos yesterday, and we're having a comments below session at the factory tomorrow. But I thought I'd show you around an old hunting ground of mine. This is where I had my very first job, aged 18, and I've been working here many years since. So I thought I'd show you around. This is the first place that welcomes you to the factory. It's the same factory from the Jordan days, from the Midland days, the Spiker days, and now the base for Sahara Force India and two of their first challenges. In the back, the 2008 car, the very first VJM, and the 2009 car. And look how different they are, not only in colour, but in the way that they were designed. Wide wings in 2008, narrow but tall rear wings in 2009, and a big front wing in 2009 as well. In the small trophy cabinet, one of the trophies that the Sahara Force India team have actually won, the 2009 Belgian Grand Prix. Second position for Giancarlo Fisichella. What a fantastic event. I was there commentating, a really big moment for these guys. Now we're in the midst of a massive Asian tour for Formula One, and therefore there aren't actually any Formula One cars that are competing here at Force India, but let's go into the race bays and have a look what's in there. Now this is one of the smallest factories in the Formula One pit lane. In fact, it's the same place that the team has been based even before Formula One days with Eddie Jordan in 3000. And therefore, the building itself has stayed the same outside, but inside it's become a lot busier. And look what we found, a 2010 Sahara Force India car. And in one of the race bays, this is where the cars will actually be prepared if they were here. But this one's nice and ready to go. I'm not sure if I jumped in it would go anywhere, but on the side here, we can find a couple of things. Ah, look at this. On the back, we've got the two clutches. They both operate the same clutch, but it depends on which lock you have, whether you can grab the clutch. We also have the gears, left and right for up and down. And then this, a new one for me, because I haven't been around in the KERS area in Formula One. That is to release the KERS, and a very small button, can you see it just there? That is for the DRS. Now we come to the front, and there's plenty to talk about on here. Right, we've got exit this side, we've got entry this side, we've got RPM, we've got mid. They all relate to the differential and how much the differential tightens on exit, entry and mid corner. And then we can go to the buttons. Neutral on the left, pit limiter on the right, pit confirm. So when the team asks you to come into pits, you can press pit confirm, and that sends a signal back to pits to say you've acknowledged it. You can also talk to the team by pressing talk. And then we have wing for DRS, it matches my t-shirt. And then the knobs, lots of knobs in a Formula One car. On the bottom here, different settings for what tyres you're on. So whether you're on the wet tyres, the dry tyres, which type of tyre as well, and that influences the engine mapping. We've got engine mapping for torque, harvesting energy and KERS, and then how the KERS is delivered as well. And just imagine doing 200 odd miles an hour and then trying to work out which button to press and which dial to twizzle. Not easy being a Formula One driver. And then behind it is a radiator from this year's car. Now, it's not normally shaped like this. This is actually the radiator that was struck by Pastor Maldonado when Paul di Resta was racing at the Belgian Grand Prix. It was a lot more bent than this, but they've managed to bend it relatively straight. Of course, you can't use it ever again. It's even got rubber still in it, and that sits in one of the side pods. Pretty cool for having that lying around. But looks like that's about it. There's a wheel gun here, which, no, I'm not going to pick those up. They're incredibly heavy. I just don't have the muscles. And that relates to the pit stop practice area, which is over there. There'll be about a 15-man team that practice pit stops here at the factory every other day of the week, aiming for that sub 3-second stop when it comes to races. It means the equipment has changed quite a lot. Here is the front jack system, goes under the front wing, and then lifts up, the wheels lift up to lift up the front of the car. So then the front jack man now can get out of the way with his sprung-loaded system, and when the car is ready to go, he once again pulls the trigger, and off goes the car. And with the pit stops going on, there also needs to be a mission control at the factory where all of the engineers that stay behind can watch the race and also affect its outcome. That's upstairs. Of course, there isn't going to be anyone in here at this moment in time because the racing isn't happening on circuit. But this is where all the engineers were based. And if we have a look down at the communications area, we can actually see that they can talk to the pits, they can talk to the factory, the pit wall, and each individual race engineer who are based in India. And of course, lots of screens, all showing the various different onboard cameras from each car and the TV feed that you and I watch on Sky or BBC or anywhere else around the world. There's also a lot of internally produced data from the Sahara Force India simulator coming up here, which is running at the same time as the sessions to give them effectively a third car out on track. And that data then can be sent to India to make sure Paul di Resta and Adrian Sittel get the best possible setup for qualifying and then, of course, the race. Now, with it being the flyaway races right now, one thing that is here is the trucks. Let's head downstairs and have a look. And here they are, the 4 Sahara Force India trucks that normally spend their time in the paddocks at the Grand Prix. They're actually only allowed 3 trucks in the paddock, each team being given 3 trucks, but the team need more to transport all the different bits and pieces for inside the pit box during the race weekend. The cars will be carried in one and the offices will be created out of these trucks when they sit in the paddock. Well, I hope you've enjoyed our tour of the Sahara Force India factory. Remember to join us tomorrow where we'll have a comments, question and answer session after the Grand Prix. Until then, bye-bye.
I'm trying to think where it is.
Spend time with the designers looking. Do you think you could join the team in the designer department?
Well, they do it all on computer nowadays.
Yeah.